we just talked about the supply chain and how it impacts us all. Businesses, big and small, are a part of that. And black businesses could be doing a bit better at building wealth and producing as startups. But discriminatory practices continue to keep black entrepreneurs from getting their share of business opportunities. And it's not just us who are being hurt by this. Everyone's losing out because of bias and racism in investing and lending. The U.S. has lost $16 trillion in GDP over the last 20 years because of the racial wealth gap. And that includes $13 trillion in potential revenue that's been lost because of discriminatory lending practices. And there's been a huge missed opportunity to generate more than 6 million jobs through black-owned companies. My next guest is an expert on entrepreneurship and invest in new American majority businesses. And through her work, she's really trying to rectify this problem. Melissa Bradley, I am so glad that you are here to join me. She is the founder and general partner of 1863 Ventures. Welcome to Amplified.
Honored to be here, my friend, honored.
All right, so look. I want you to break all this down for us. You have created an ecosystem to support black businesses, women, other people of color, entrepreneurs. We call the community of essentially the majority demographically, and I talk about this all the time on my show, as the new American majority. And you are really focused on making sure that entrepreneurs can sustain themselves. Tell us about why and how you built this ecosystem. Why is it so important right now?
Yeah, well, I think it's important right now, one, because the economy is not doing well, in part because of the historical systemic racism that you just alluded to, that was, I think, known by many of us, but made apparent in the Citi report, that we've lost $16 trillion at least due to systemic racism. And I think that it's important that when you talk about ecosystem, first you create the right context. And the right context is, I don't do this work. You don't do this work just because we're black. We do this work because we recognize the inherent value that is being lost in this country. To me, the lack of economic activity being fully recognized by African Americans in this country is not just an economic risk, but a security risk. And so if you care anything about this country, and certainly if you care about black people, this is really important. And even the signal effect of saying new majority signifies the fact that our numbers globally, but certainly in the United States, speak to the fact that if this country is to survive, it is going to be because of us. It is going to be because of our economic, intellectual, political, and social, and certainly cultural contributions. So that's the stage. So if you recognize that a good portion of this future's economic security is based on our well-being, then you begin to see the historical disinvestment in black businesses, the disenfranchisement, even from a policy level, the fact that you would have a PPP program go through traditional banks where we are more than 65% time likely to be turned down. And let's not even talk about venture capital, that you only have about 40 black women, the fastest growing segment of entrepreneurs, even receive venture capital. And so I think it's important that we recognize that there are systemic barriers that need to be overturned. And then, dare I say, as an entrepreneur for many, many years, the lack of social capital. We have lots of social capital, but it was not until I exited my first company that I met my first black CEO. And so we have got to do better on a community of redefining entrepreneurship is not just being that $1 billion or that multi-million-dollar business, but recognize that there are small businesses across this country who are creating jobs that are critical, particularly during COVID, to the well-being. Small restaurants in Harlem, small by the comparison of someone like Danny, who owns millions of restaurants and seats across the country, but really contributing. And what we notice is that if you are able to get a business to move beyond one person, the revenue almost 3x's itself, if indeed you're being able to help them employ people. And so statistics show that if we were able to have parity in terms of access to capital in black businesses, we would have a zero unemployment rate of black people in places like the District of Columbia. And so while there's been wonderful interest post George Floyd, you alluded to the $16 trillion lost. We know that there's $1 trillion in lost consumption because of the wealth gap. And we know there's $5.9 trillion in lost revenue because underrepresented black entrepreneurs do not receive the capital they deserve.
I want to back up to kind of get to some of the underlying piece of this. You mentor a lot of entrepreneurs, and one thing I found interesting about just your own research and your work is that you say that You found that black entrepreneurs are spending something like an average of $250,000 more than their white counterparts to start businesses. It seems to me that just fundamentally, as we're trying to get off the ground, that black and Latinx entrepreneurs are already losing, right? Just at the bare bones beginning of it. And so I wonder, we talk so much about how venture capitalists aren't doling out checks, right? But this is not even, venture capital is like what, 1% of all the funding? What do we do to even start to bridge that gap? I think about, you alluded to this social capital. We ain't got friends and family in the same way that other people have friends and family to do those kind of rounds. So that $250,000 that already sets us back, what are some of the things that we can do, even policy or otherwise, to just start to bridge that so people can get off the ground?
Yeah, I think it's pretty critical. And I think it's important just quickly to say that $250,000 is both a combination of direct and indirect costs. So it's direct costs because unfortunately it is legal to discriminate in the United States in terms of interest rates. And so we tend to spend or be charged 2 to 4 times more in interest rates. It's also indirect costs that you can't get into some of these programs where you get free coaching, free lawyers, free accounting. So all of those things cost us money. You don't get free credits if you have a tech platform. And so we end up overspending on things that our white peers are actually getting for free. So I would say there's 3 ways to really change that. You started with the policy level. We know that there are various bills and legislation on the Hill right now, particularly being driven by the SBA, that says we need to really bridge this gap in friends and family round and think about non-dilutive funding to ecosystem builders and entrepreneurial support organizations to really bridge that gap of friends and family. When I started my first company, I had someone say, I can give you $200, but I need it back by next Thursday. That's not the friends and family round we're talking about. We're talking about capital that you can really use to grow your business. So I think there are policy interventions where investments can be made in organizations that are on the ground to bridge that gap. I think the second thing is that anyone who's making an investment needs to understand the facts, that you cannot compare a black entrepreneur in tech to a white entrepreneur in tech, because if we are showing up and we have $1 million revenue, that's probably worth $1 million plus because of what we've had to endure in terms of the financial cost and the racial cost and the bias cost. So I've spent a lot of time working with other ecosystem builders to help them understand how data should drive strategies, how data should drive programming so that it becomes more inclusive and the aperture is open for those entrepreneurs that I think are high growth but have been at high risk of not getting the right support. So how do we align them? And the final thing I would say is that we have got to support our businesses. I understand how hard it is. This is probably the only day that I'm not in a t-shirt that's put on by black entrepreneurs. But it is so easy, particularly now that everything is online. We have got to support these businesses because at the end of the day, as a fellow investor, I have to make sure that I'm investing in a business that's going to make money. And if we don't support them, then we've got bigger issues if we go with expediency and we go with Amazon as opposed to a black platform that we know is being developed by a wonderful woman named Khadijah Robinson. So we do have to be uncomfortable. Robert Arnault, who's a great economist, said, in order to be profitable, you must be uncomfortable. And that's 2 sides. That means those of us who say we're down for the black community, we need to get uncomfortable and find those entrepreneurs. And that means the white folks who are investing in these entrepreneurs or investing in entrepreneurs need to get uncomfortable and change their risk tolerance and their risk aperture to determine what is a viable business. And it cannot be solely by race and by gender.
I love that. And I love the for us, by us, charge to all of us. I am going to continue to amplify lots of black women and other people of color that are starting and launching cool things. Please send us your portfolio companies for sure. We want to amplify them. And please come back because I want to talk more about how we continue to bridge this racial wealth gap. Melissa Bradley, my friend, I'm so glad that you joined us today. Thanks so much.